comes back to episode number 5 of Chat with the Optimist. So, welcome back to another free tech workshop. Monday, we're going to start the week off strong. Got some more Photoshop alternatives for you lined up this week. Today, we're going to be starting with a program called Krita. Now, Krita is only available, as far as I know, on desktop or laptop computers, so Windows or Mac, and is a software you're going to have to download off the internet. I've used Krita. I remember I used Krita years ago when I was first looking for a Photoshop alternative because I didn't want to pay for it. So I used it a little bit, but over the years, I kind of moved away from it. More so because of, I don't really remember why. I think after a while, I actually just got Photoshop again, so I stopped using Krita. And by the time I stopped paying for Photoshop again, I went to Pixlr. So we're just going to jump right into it. I'm going to share my screen. Krita here. Great. All right. So this is Krita. So from what I remember about Krita is they're really good with brushes. So when we use the paint tool, there's a lot of different options to create all sorts of different kind of brush strokes. Like you can make one look like crayon, like marker, like pen, like chalk, like a sponge. And we'll see that in a little bit. But when you first open up Krita, it's going to be a bit overwhelming here. A lot of buttons everywhere on the screen. But as usual, we'll start with just a new file. So we're going to go to Start, New File, and let's see what it's going to do. Now, it did actually take me like 45 minutes to load this up, so good thing I was kind of proactive with this. So it might be a bit slow. We're going to go to, let's look at the templates like usual. So we have animation templates. That's interesting. Comic design, web design. So not a whole lot useful to us because we're usually making web-based content. But today we're gonna, let's just do, on Friday we made a YouTube thumbnail. So maybe today we'll make a logo. So we're gonna do this by 500 by 500. So logos are gonna be almost always square for like a social media. Now, resolution 150, that's a solid resolution. 72 would be low, so 150 is good. We can ignore all this and create. And have it load. So I really liked Photopea on Friday, so that's going to be pretty high bar to surpass. But let's see what Krita can do. One benefit right away over Photopea is there's no ads at all. It's open source. And I believe you don't have to pay for anything like the other ones. So first off, kind of more similar to Photopea, the layout. We have the toolbar to the left. This will have all our tools. Like this is going to be our markers, erasers, transformation tools, shapes, type, all this kind of stuff. To zoom or move across the screen, we have all these buttons here. Now, I think on the top, when we switch tools, nothing yet, but I think we're going to be able to alter the tool settings up here. And to the right, we have our little color wheel to easily change the colors we want to draw with or write with. And then the layers, and then finally the brushes. So let's go right into the layers like usual. So it gives us a default blank layer and a background. You can add a new layer with this, delete it, move them up or down. I'm not going to go too much into the basic stuff because I've been doing that every episode so far, and some of the stuff is pretty straightforward. But let's get right into the tools. So I'm going to click this paintbrush and see we're going to draw automatically just some thick black strokes. Now we can change the color here very easy compared to the other software. Normally they're down here in this toolbar, but here you can see it up on the screen, on the top right of the screen. Now, we can undo. We have undo buttons up here, redo, or like usual, you can just do Control Z or Control Shift Z to bring things back. So I'm going to keep doing that, Control Z to do the undo. But you can, of course, use these tools up here. So now with the brushes, let's get like a gray, like maybe a reddish gray. Let's try out the different brushes. So we're on default, basic 5 size opacity, basic 6. Let's see this one. This is smaller. Okay, interesting. Can we change the size? Yep. With the brackets, we can change the size of the brush. Or we can just come up here and change this. Like, okay, this is pretty good. Cool. So that's how we can easily change the size. And the opacity too, so we want to kind of like see through. We can do that as well. Bring it up. Let's quickly go through these other brushes. We're really not going to be using them much because we're not making like a painting, but they're here if you want to do something cool. So yeah, you can experiment with these like I'm doing here. There's a whole lot of them, so you can get some pretty wacky ones. I think they've got some stamps too. That's interesting. Let's see. Huh. Cool. Okay. Yeah, this might be cool if you're like making a banner or something. If you want to make a quick like tool, on. So you want a quick design or something. What's this? Wow. Okay, that's pretty intense. Yeah, like that little graffiti one here. It's like I can make it like light green and be like, oh, really big. Lower the opacity, and we could be like, oh, we got a cool little design here. So let's go on to the type. Important one. We'll click the text. I think we click and drag, and here we go. Whoa, this is interesting. So it seems like we have to edit it here. So let's type in title for our text. We want this to be called title, and we can change the fonts if it's going to load. And okay, we got a decent amount of stuff. A lot of Adobe stuff. And it's really slow on my end. Now don't, oh, they got Gill Sans. That's pretty good. Don't take the slow speed solely as an indictment on Krita. My computer's pretty slow as well. I'm transparent. I don't have a good computer. And I'm not trying to do that. Like, you can build businesses like with just the resources you have. So that's what I'm doing. I'm doing a proof of concept that everything I build is stuff that is not going to be out of your price range or really expensive. This is a 10-year-old computer. And I'm going to be using that as a sample of like, if I can do this business with this computer, then you can as well. So let's go save. Is it saving? Yeah. Oh, close. So how do we edit it now? Can we edit in here? No. Okay. I don't really like that. Like, I think, yeah, you can edit everything here, but like you can change the weight, the style, the size, the color. You can do everything in here, so maybe it's a little bit more organized, but I'm not a big fan of that. Maybe a little confusing. Save. And close. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of laggy too. Not crazy about that, but it seems like we just double click to get into it, I think. Yeah. Let's see what other fonts they have. The Futura. No. Helvetica. Oh, they do have Futura. Oh, no, they don't. Helvetica. Any kind of Helvetica. San Francisco. No. Oh well. So that's the text, and I'm also not a big fan of how there's just the whole overlay of it. There's too many buttons. I feel like in the other programs, they'll have like there's a lot of tools here. Like I'd say there's 50 of these, and or how many? I'm going to get an exact number, like more like 30, but they will only actually have like 15 buttons behind the rest inside the other buttons. Like you have square, circle, polygon. Like they would have this all in one button that you can like right click and get more. You can change the icon size or the whole thing. Okay, that's interesting. So let's go to the, they have gradient. Let's try that out. I'm going to create a new layer. Let's try out the gradient. Okay, cool. Okay, I like that. So easy way to get gradients here, like we delete this layer, make a new one. And how do we get multiple gradients? Like if we go here, oops, now it's not really working. Plus. Okay, so it's going to blue to white. But how do we get this to go to the blue to like say red? I don't know. Yeah, that's a quick way. Like if you hold shift, you can get exactly like vertical, or hold shift exactly horizontal. So this might be a quick way to get like a result. Let's see, up, down. Okay. We have eyedropper tool to quickly get a color. They also have the shapes. Whoa, that's weird. Maybe we have to go to like a normal brush. Yeah, okay, the brushes actually have an impact on it. And let's see, what do we got else? I want to see the filters on here. Because like by first glance, the reason why I'm not that excited about this right now or thrilled about Krita right now, is because Photopea, it just seems so much better. Like I understand like Krita has a lot of tools. I'd say it's much more tools than Pixlr, much more tools than GIMP, but just not thrilled with the control. I feel like everything's a little slow or sloppy using stuff. So let's actually going to bring in an image in here. Let's see. We're going to import maybe we have to open something. And it's loading. Because I definitely do want to try the filters. Maybe that can be saving grace here. Not sure if you guys can see. Oh yeah, you can. Let's see if they got pictures. Yeah, let's actually get one of these assets. So we're going to open this. Here we go. Okay, so what's going on here? Zoom out. Can we click and drag? This tool only works for vector layers. You probably want the move tool. Okay, that's funny how it described that. So click. Can we not bring this over? Maybe because the background. I don't know how to get it over. File, import animation. And clearly you can do stuff with animation here, but I'm not sure what for. Maybe just if you want like really specific frame edits, but I don't see why you can't do that in another software. Sure, let's do this. No, maybe image, view. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. We can't get this over. Okay, here. Okay, we had to move the layer over. Okay, but we got this image again. Let's get the move tool. Control T to transform it. And we hold shift. Yeah, we can shrink it. Okay, let's see what we can do here with this, some of the filters. Let's actually make it bigger. Fill up the whole canvas. And yeah, we'll do this. Guy will be the focal point. Okay. So let's go to filter. Blur. Gaussian blur. Okay. Okay, that just makes a generic blur over it. Layer. Image. View. Select. Not seeing a whole lot of options. Boss. Okay, that's too much. Yeah, I don't think emboss is going to work for us. Sharpen. I don't like how, though, like when we click this, like we got to do colors for alpha. Okay, they give you a setting here, but some of the others, they weren't giving us settings to change stuff around. Okay. It's a little odd. Colors. Yeah, they don't have a lot of the normal standard stuff. Like everything's a little complicated. Like let's see, artistic, pixelize. Okay, this is actually helpful. Create filter mask. Interesting. Yeah, these are all pretty bizarre. Pretty bizarre filters here. Yeah, we got themes. Let's see what other themes we got. Krita Blender. Dark orange. Dark neutral, breeze light. High contrast. Let's go back to normal. Yeah, so not thrilled about this. Let's see the selection tool, though. I'll give it its fair shake. Cut around him. Whoops. To work. Hide. Okay. Working fine. Let's try quick selection. That's rectangle selection. Contiguous. Okay. Working fine. Deselect. Yeah, I mean, honestly, guys, I'm not that thrilled with this. One, two, I just wasn't in the mood to stream. Wasn't in the mood to stream, but no, I got it. That's part of the grind of you just gotta do stuff when you don't feel like doing it, and you gotta stay consistent with it so I get better. So not in the best mood. And two, I'm not thrilled with Krita right now. Partially, I'm a little annoyed that it took so long to open. Literally like 45 minutes. So wasn't happy with that right away. But let me go back to the Krita screen. I just remember when I last used Krita, if this is serviceable, don't get me lie. Don't I'm not gonna lie, but it's just not that great. Even like when I was having trouble with GIMP finding stuff, like I feel like it's easier finding stuff, but I just feel like the control in this, my the controls are lagging. There's just too many buttons. Like it just comes down to complexity, especially for you guys. Like you're not designers, you're not going to be making amazing stuff in here. Like really, what this is for is like if you're really into like painting or whatever, you want really nice. Let me get the paint brush. Like you want really nice colors or whatever. Especially if you have a tablet that these are paintbrushes are mainly made for. Oh, this is really cool. So it's not a very beginner friendly program. I'm not a fan of it, but it is very similar to Photoshop. So I kind of knew going into this I would not be a fan, especially I used in the past, which was fine, but there's a reason why I went back to Photoshop with this. So yeah, not crazy about this. I don't think I'm going to be using this going into the future, but I don't think I'm going to be using this. But if you want to use it, like with all these softwares, I am showing you guys with pretty much everything I show you guys. Like, don't be afraid to be like, if I really prefer this, use it. If that's what works for you, or you've used this in the past, I mean, go for it. This is all about being resourceful, using what we got, using what we know. So if you already know something, it's saving time, it's saving effort into forcing yourself to learn something else that you're not comfortable with if you already have the tool at your disposal. So if you already know Krita, which I doubt you will, then don't use it then. I'm sure the Krita fanboys and fangirls will be kind of upset this live stream, be like, I didn't give Krita a fair shake, or I haven't used it enough to know, and they're right. So what? I I'm coming at it from a beginner standpoint. Like the first time someone's used the software before, are they going to understand this? Is this going to be an easy learning tool? If they never used the drawing software before, how useful is this to their goals? So that's kind of the criteria that I'm going off of. Well, as promised, I'm just going to hide this stuff. I'm going to make a quick logo for you guys. So in terms of logo design, there's a lot of different logos, which I'll get into later at a later date. You can have a text-based logo, you can have a graphic, you have a text and a graphic, you can have a mascot, you can have an emblem. There's all different kinds that'll be good for different businesses, but before you even start designing, you gotta like put in some research first. I'd recommend looking at what your industry is, to see what are the common things in there or other people doing, and what do you want to follow with them, and what do you want to be unique with. So what most people do is when they think, oh, I got to make a logo. My company name is John's Wood Shop. So be like, okay, John's Wood Shop. Let me just make the logo John's Wood Shop, JWS, all capital, and let's make it dark. Let's say I want a kind of a darkish smoky blue. That's good because I like that color. JWS. Okay, save. Let's make it a lot bigger. Let's pump it up to 72. Save. Okay. Move. This is a good logo. And like, bam, that's going to be our logo. Like big and bold. But there's no care to this. People are going to see this and be like, oh, this is amateur. And that's the biggest issue. That even the simplest logos, there's a lot of thought put behind it. Like, what is this telling your customers? And all that what that means is, what kind of emotion do they feel about this? Do you want your customers to look at your logo and think, This company is trustworthy. This company is friendly and relatable. Are they innovative and prosperous? Are they uh, luxurious and exclusive? Are they a very bold company like that? They're very in your face, or are they very more subtle and have a little bit more finesse to their brand? And that your logo is huge with that because JWS like this to be very different compared to if I write it like JWS, lowercase, and we're gonna make this like a baby blue, and we'll change the font to a serif font, like say this. Save like this, and maybe we like put a line underneath it. Like, whoops. Let's get the eyedropper tool. A line. Like something like this. That's very different from what we had before. This is, I would imagine this because it's a sans serif font. It's a lighter blue, a little bit of shade in it. It's lowercase and has that underneath it. This is a little bit more fancy brand, simpler, something like that compared to the big bold thing we had before. So you got to be very conscious about what you make your brand. Um, so I would say even before you hop in a program like this, do some research and kind of have in your head like, I'm going to use this type of font, this type of color, this size, this little design, this style, this weight. And then once you have an idea, go into the software and let's say just make 5 variations of that. And then see, okay, which one you like. Because you want to experiment here, but you want to be guided. Like you want to have a direction. Like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna. You have a direction of where you're going. It's like you don't just get in your car and just start driving. You like that will just be foolish. You got to make sure you know where you want to go before you go anywhere. Like I'm gonna go to work. I'm gonna go to the gym, grocery store. I'm gonna go to the beach. But when you get closer, like you know exactly where you're going. When you get closer, you have to figure out where to park. So you're still going to the same location. You might just be going to a different area in the location. Like I'm going to park in the west end. I'm going to park in the east end. I'm going to park in the parking garage. So it's tiny variations you'll make when you get there. And in terms of this, you want to know what you're making. And then when you actually go to make it, you work out the little quirks. And, maybe you make it and you don't like it. So you go back to the drawing board of like, okay, what do I have to fix? And once you figure it out, you go back to the designing and you make it because you don't want to spend all this time inside these programs because you'll drive yourself crazy and you'll start doing things without intention. You want to be intentional about your brand because when you start being unintentional, then that's when you start getting careless and you'll start doing things that you don't mean and you communicate ideas and values that you don't want to. And the worst thing to do is like communicating like unprofessionalism or sloppiness or lack of care, which you can see very easy. You can differentiate the brands who have actually thought through their branding or those who are like, oh, I like the color blue and this is a cool font, so I'm going to throw them together without thinking like what they were actually saying. Because then you end up not saying anything or saying anything that you want to communicate. So those are two very big things. This is turning more into a branding episode. Yeah, I don't like Krita, guys. Yeah, we only have like a few more of these Photoshop alternatives, so I have listed. So right now, Photopea is in the lead, But we have a couple more, and then we'll do some mobile stuff. There's Photopia is a website, and as far as I know, you should only access it on laptops and desktops. But I want to look out for you guys on mobile. For those of you guys who don't have a computer, either you're using a phone or a tablet, I want to make sure, is Photopea usable on that? And if not, is there an alternative? So I'm going to make sure I find a way. It's going to find a way to record that, though. That'll be interesting. Is either I'm going to use my phone or I have a Chromebook, which I don't think is the best example of a tablet, but I'll figure something out for you guys. I'm not leaving you guys behind, is I don't want to force you guys to be like, oh, if I want to use a decent photo editor, I guess I have to buy a computer. And when you have to wait to buy something, either you're spending capital that you don't want to, or you're waiting to save up for that capital, and therefore you're not acting, which I'm very against. So you got to make sure you actually have the tools at your disposal so you can keep moving forward. Because the more you wait, the more your idea decays, and we don't want that at all. You want to hit the ground, boots on the ground running. So I'll figure out for you guys that. But in the meantime, lesson learned: don't use Krita. Might be too harsh right now. I don't care. So thank you dudes for watching, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.